look what I figured out how to do, y'all. I'm growing up right before your very eyes. Anyway, I had a revelation, let's say. Which makes me think of Opeth's line, a revelation over which you linger, which he, of course, says growling. And I don't know if without the music I can hit the notes, so I'm willing to try. Anyway, I had a revelation. I was riding on the bus, sitting in the sun. Everybody's being super cool. And I just thought, our God is an awesome God. Because I spent so much time today talking about how the God head that we call God, that is captured and recorded and desperately tried to identify or be identified in the biblical canon, is awesome. You know, the first person to be cool to me when I got on the bus as a homeless person, I got on that bus either Friday or Saturday before I was officially homeless. No, I did it that Monday. I got it. I decided that I was going to do what I'm doing that Monday that I was homeless. I had been thinking about it my whole life, preparing myself spiritually and emotionally since I was a very small boy to live out in nature in the cold of winter. It's what my ancestors did. It's how my ancestors lived. It's how my ancestors colonized not only this North American continent, but Europe as well. It's how they conquered the Zagros Mountains, and it's how my ancestors and my genotype have flooded the Northern Hemisphere. And I have always wanted to know what it was like actually to be poor. Not just in poverty, but clinging on and able to keep up appearances. But this, I was just thinking, while he was telling me the story of his day on a different bus line than I've ever seen him on, I was just thinking about how awesome that is. I walked on the bus and he recognized me and I recognized him, and this is about the 4th or 5th time we've run across one another, but he's always on Maple and I was on Putnam after booking my ass down to the Salvation Army to see if they had socks or anything that could help me. And that church is what they call themselves, is so dirty and hasn't bothered to update its online hours. I got there 20 minutes after they closed when their hours said I had another 40. And then a guy comes up and unlocks the door, brushes me off, says something rude to the other guy who's standing outside and said, "I thought you guys were open till 4. And I said, "Yeah, I got a bus to catch." So instead of hanging out there and whatever, I went and caught my bus and I ran across this guy. And I asked him, I said, "How are you doing, man?" I gave him a great big smile when I got on the bus and I pointed at him and I said, "Hey, guy." And I sit down and he goes, "Where's your guitars, man?" Because we sat and we had about a 20-minute conversation while we waited for the bus together on that Monday that I first became homeless, while I was holding Betty and Dana and their amp, sweating my tits off, hurting already because I'd been running around since Wednesday selling my stuff and just trying to figure out what the hell the next move was going to be. And we talked about Pantera And then I got on the bus and I got off. And so when I got on Putnam, he goes, where's your guitars? You know, just making talk like you do. And I said, oh man, I had to sell those. And he goes, fuck, man. And he didn't ask me what for. And he goes, fuck, your life sounds like my life. I hate that for you. And I said, no, man, it's all good. I didn't tell him, but I said, it's all good. It's hard out there for everybody. I turned those guitars into my tent and food and a little bit of comfort for a week while I mourned my circumstances, because there was a lot of time that I spent just so angry, and I documented all of it because you need to see what grieving looks like. You've never been shown grief. And so I asked him, well, what's up with you, man? How's your day going? And he says, man, I had 2 job interviews today. And I'm like, well, that's fucking good news. How'd that go? And he didn't get the gig, and he's explaining to me that nobody in town wants to hire a felon. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I talked about that this morning on either my game stream or as I walked around town, that this town's got it all backward. The federal government will pay you handsomely. They'll pay their salaries and they'll pay you to hire felons. Now, if the Democrats have got rid of that, that's just more proof that the Democrats are the problem. You understand? Like, if the Democrats have got rid of the incentives for hiring felons so you can give people, especially this guy's in his 50s. I mean, this guy's a gray hair. This guy's only option left in life, and his only option left in life since the fucking 2nd millennium BC has been to do what he's been doing for the last 20 years. Try to drink himself to death. The best he can hope for is to die in his sleep someday. So you're going to get to look at the grass now. I'm not going to do much. I'm not going to do much of this because the sun is at my back, and I'm not going to go to my spot until this parking lot's empty. I'm probably going to sit here until it's too cold to sit here. This is the life of a vagrant, y'all. A vagabond. Call me what you will. Anybody who... Only like 3 people knew I did that. Nobody really watched it, but while I was on Twitter, I used to... Oh, but that's gonna... Anyway, while I was on Twitter, I used to do a series where I commented on the songs that made me who I am, and one of them was Metallica. Anywhere I roam. Wherever I may roam is the name of the song. Call me what you will. I can't think of how that goes now. So I'm supposed to be embarrassed, and I'm supposed to edit these down when that sort of stuff happens. But again, I keep saying it, and it keeps maybe not getting recorded, or you're not hearing it, or I just feel like I need to keep saying it. But the idea, in no small way, is for you to feel like you're just sitting here hanging out with me. I never got to host hangouts as a kid. And so now my brain has skipped over the story that you want to hear me tell. You're anxiously waiting on me to finish this story with this guy and tell you what makes our God so awesome. That in this story about this guy down and out in his luck who's trying to drink himself to death, why does that make God great? Shouldn't that make God in some way lesser? Shouldn't that ugly God? I am not of that opinion. I'm not of that opinion at all. But I am thinking about how on the bus beside me, there's 2 young men in their early 20s. A real Beavis and Butthead type. And they had me thinking of how Link and Rhett, when they're together for anything, but when they're on Good Mythical Morning specifically, they still act like they did together when they were 9 years old. Now, you can get them apart and they have adult personalities, whole personalities. But when you get them together, they're the same boys they were when they were best friends in North Carolina at 9 years old. And that's their charm. That's why they have such a huge show. Well, I'm still the boy I was at 9. I still like to find a quiet place under a tree with some sun and hopefully not too much shade. And I like to read, and I like to listen to music, and I like to listen to people talk, and I like to use their gossip to understand the world. Because as I told my best friend once, and I'm certain that he won't watch these, because that's how my life goes, but my best friend, I told him, wisdom is anywhere you want to look for her. And of course I was referencing Thunder, Perfect Mind, the Gnostic mystery poem that it might take him another 20 years to realize I was doing, because I am a mysterious, and as my most beloved once said to me, cryptic. Are you being cryptic again? Yes, I am cryptic. I am cryptic. I am still going to make you do the work. I call that doing the push-ups. Even listening to me explain to you what these things mean, what I'm about to say even. Gotta double check my time. I'm going to be cryptic about it. I'm going to leave things unsaid. I'm going to do it out of order. You're going to have to watch all of it. There's never going to be just one video that sums it all up for you. And there's a reason for that. It's not your fault. It's kind of my fault. I learned early, and I still do it. If you watch the Twitch streams with Madge, I do it all the time. Anytime I try to say something succinctly, especially if it's complicated in my brain, I always get it wrong the first time. Always. I always say it wrong. And now there's a certain amount of that, that's almost on purpose. And by almost on purpose, I mean, if I don't know the answer and I'm trying to say it as a sentence, as a statement, I'm trying to say what I understand as a statement, or I'm trying to ask, is what I understand this to be correct? I tend to just say it wrong. Now I'm being forthright and I'm giving my best effort, but in an effort to cut my word count down, because I have a lot of social anxiety, and as you see, because of my head injuries, if a question runs long in my mouth, I'm going to forget what I was even asking. And so is the person I'm asking. They're never going to answer. And so my whole life I've done this. I lost respect for a manager at a store I won't name for telling me that the first thing that comes out of our mouth is always the thing that we most mean. And I'm like, well, not me, homie. Oh, that wind is biting. But I told Guy, I said, hey, I'll pray for you. I can't really do anything about your being a felon. And I can't comfort you that this town is bass-ackwards and you don't want to talk about politics and whether Biden and Kamala Harris have fucked you over, because frankly, if you're him, you've lived the last 20 years. And you know you've been fucked over since you became a felon, basically. I don't know when he became a felon. I don't know what he did. Probably nothing. Probably nothing worth the life that he lives. But that felon tag comes up, and he's right. Most places won't trust you, especially if you got to handle money. Poverty plus felony plus handling money just equals theft. The likelihood that you can't resist your temptation because you haven't had a conversion moment to Christianity or any religion, but a conversion moment that prevents you from doing that sort of thing, you're just going to fall back on old habits. And that's just the way that the world works. That's just the way humans are. There's really no doing about it, right? There's no... The only thing you can do is what the ancient world did, and that's provide criminals and murderers the drugs necessary to have the religious experience. That's why the Aletheia, or the Philaletheia, that's why Jesus' very first followers and Jesus himself went around proselytizing to criminals and the destitute, is because those are the people most likely to cause a problem in society. But also, those are the people most likely to do the most good. Because if that guy hadn't been cool to me, who knows? If he hadn't just been nice to me, who knows? Because he didn't do it while we were on the bus. We didn't talk on the bus. He talked off the bus. But if I hadn't had that little boost, that little reminder from God that God is great, right? And that he's everywhere. And that he influences even people that don't believe in him to do and say things. And that there are signs all around us of the majesty and the mysteries of the universe. Who knows? Who knows if I don't just give up? Who knows if I don't try to go to the Salvation Army and get a bed, like my therapist suggested, sooner? And who knows if getting there sooner and seeing just how awful that place was in reality, I don't just give up all the way up. Who knows? I can't know, because there's no way of looking back and seeing how it plays out differently. The only way to do that, I've told you. And I'm not doing that. I'm not putting myself in a superposition of alive and dead, so that the alive part of me can go back in time and the other part of me can remain in the present and move into the future. That's not happening. I have no interest in that. But I told him I'd pray for him. Because I will, and I did. And I will continue to. Until I've heard good news. And I won't hear good news until probably Monday or Wednesday. But I will, and I did. And the thing is, most non-believers, or most non-practicing, people who don't use the language, who aren't devout, who aren't zealous, who aren't pious in their behavior. Pious is the word my buddy Madge wants me to use. I can guarantee it if you watch this. He'd want me to say pious here. Piety. The people who are pious. Pious believers. Not true believers. Pious believers. Will tend to say stuff like that. And he goes, please, I need it. Thank you. And so I did. I would have anyway. But that informed consent of the power of prayer. I've just had the biggest smile on my face all day. Just all day. It's just been such a beautiful day. It's been so good. And so after I made that prayer, I have to back up a little bit. This morning I made a mistake. I made for me what would have been for me in the past a fatal mistake. Would have driven me bananas. I made it yesterday too. I forgot my headphone charger, my case, and my tent. Now today, I had my right earbud in my ear when I did that, and I did it on purpose. Put my right ear in, just in case anything goes wrong. Something went wrong. But when I realized I did that, I just spent the day with it out. Except when I was totally alone. And I heard things and I engaged in conversations that I wouldn't have otherwise. And now this is a message of hope and a message of encouragement to people like me who need that audio overstimulation in order to not be overstimulated by the people around him. But the people around me were intensely cool. Not just interesting, but nice to me. Cool. Chill. So after I shut off that prayer because I didn't have my earbud in my ear to have music playing, the song, My God is an Awesome God, He Reigns, popped into my head. My God is an awesome God, He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Now, I don't know if that's how that end goes. All I can remember is with wisdom, power, and I hear da-da. So I really think it should be wisdom, power, and glory is the proper lyric. And now I'll do that. I don't know if you've ever listened to me sing, but I just say what I want. If I don't know the lyric, I'll just make something that fits. Like that one-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. I'll get lyrics wrong. I don't care. I just enjoy singing, which makes me think of probably my favorite Hurt song. The band is called Hurt. Jay Lauren is the band, really. But I loved them. Oh my God. Devout. I've seen them 3 times. They were so good. I was so heartbroken when the heroin broke him, when the heroin beat him. But they have a hidden track on their technically on their 3rd record, not The Crux. It's called Say Goodbye to the Machine, and it's called You're Gonna Die. And the chorus is something like everybody's gonna die. You're gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. And it's going through this, listing all the people who are going to die. And my favorite, and the one that the category of people who are definitely going to die someday, is people who sing when they don't know the words. Yeah, I sing when I don't know the words because I just enjoy the act of singing. It's a way of glorifying the universe. It's a way of beautifying my immediate environment. And so even if I sound bored, and yeah, I listen back to myself and I sound bored, it's because I have a big voice. And so I try to keep it to myself. I try to not out shout my microphone too. I don't know. I've never sung into a microphone before. I used to sing with choir in high school when I did musicals. And I never needed to be mic'd. I have a big voice. That's why most of these I'm so quiet, is because I'm in public for a lot of them. Like right now, I'm in public. And like when I'm in the library, if I'm not in one of the study rooms, especially I prefer study room 3 because it's all the way away from people. I am certain that I'm audible in the other study room that I don't like as much because there's a glass window right there, but there are people on the other side of that on computers. So I'm certain they're listening to me, and so I get self-conscious about stuff like that. I'm deeply self-conscious. I'm deeply aware of what people are thinking of me because I can see their faces and I can know what you're thinking based on your face. I can cold read you. Absolutely. I can cold read you from text. That bothers people, especially haters, trolls, and just the generally toxic online. Don't like it when you can actually predict their entire past up to the moment. You can even predict their trauma. You can tell them what their trauma is to their face and why they're behaving the way they do. My sister didn't like it at all when I told her exactly what she was feeling and thinking and why she was doing what she was doing. They don't like that. No one likes it. I like it. It means you're paying attention. But it should be glory. I realized that. I looked up the lyrics and I was just singing it on my walk before I turned on my camera to talk to you. And I thought of a line, I don't know where it's from, and it's just a line I always thought was silly and didn't understand. All of the lines that I think are silly is because I don't understand them. which means that you probably do the same thing. If you think a line of scripture is silly, it's probably because you haven't taken the time to really thoroughly understand it. But I thought, glory, 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 God in the highest. His is the glory. Hallelujah. And I didn't know what that meant until I said it. And that's why I told you I have had a revelation, a revelatory experience. Prophecy is when the words just come out. And I heard it and I knew what it meant for the first time. Glory is what you get for dying. Glory is a memorial to the dead. And if God is the Lord of hosts, as well as time, as well as the firmament around the permanently expanding universe. And I read an article yesterday that I really want to talk to you about, where we made a map of the universe that's recently been published, where we realized that the immediate universe around our galaxy, the huge vastness of universe around our galaxy, is actually an undulating ocean of gravity. And so I was telling you about the false water that is heaven. Ezekiel knew that out in outer space there's an ocean of gravity, and we're just a tiny island in it, just a tiny speck. But there are lines, almost straight line tethers among points in the galaxy. And if I'm right, that's what ETs are. They're able to manipulate those gravity tethers. And so I've been trying to think about how to explain to you the difference in intellect, intelligence, and the other thing. And it's curiosity. As I look around at people that you, in your only observing people to metric one or how many different things you're better than them about. I got better shoes, my shirt's better, my brands are better, my stuff is more expensive, etc. My teeth are better, my hair is better, etc. That you would say are unintelligent. They're just not curious. But curiosity isn't intelligence. Curiosity can be taught out of a child. It can be discouraged out of an adult. Curiosity has frequently been discouraged out of me. In fact, as I approached that Monday when I met that guy, I was thoroughly discouraged. I had been encouraged to give up everything by everyone who promised they would be there when I needed real encouragement in the coming weeks. This week that I'm in, I needed real encouragement. And because God is awesome, and because He reigns over time with power, He is King. He reigns. We are just ants. None of us is Queen Ant. None of us is forefather. God came first. This is all for the glorification of God, and you can call that narcissistic, and I'll say fine. One of the aspects of God within His presence is Hasatan. And you know, Lucifer isn't Hasatan. Lucifer is Azazel, but Lucifer is also Venus, the first star in the sky that we realized was different than the others. God is also that. God is the first thing that we recognize is not the same. One of these things is not like the other, is a message of faith, of aletheia. And He is unlike the others. That guy. Special dude. Love people like that. But God gets the glory. The fallen in battle they don't get the glory. I'm sorry. God gets the glory. Because if they fell and you lived, you don't thank them. You thank God. God is the one who chose to spare you, not them. And who thanks their enemy, especially after a victory? Who? Who does that? Jesus did that. Remember to love your enemies, and that means to feel gratitude for your enemies. And so that means to praise Satan as well. He won't even know what to do with it. Have you ever done that? Said something nice to somebody who was saying something hateful to you and meant it? They don't even know how to handle it. It changes their whole life. And so I'm here to tell you that I am here not just to proselytize the good word of a loving and glory-worthy God who makes things work out in His time. I'm here to help you reach it. I'm here to help you communicate with it. Let's go talk to Madge. Thanks for being here. Curiosity is the consideration, it's the conscientiousness that you don't know everything. It's keeping your eyes open, your hands up, and being prepared to see something that might truly blow your mind. And then integrating what it tells you into your life. Because they say, I hear a voice as of a speaker. Means they had a thought so profound and so unlike their normal thoughts that it was like someone else said it. That's God. You have those all the time. I believe you do. Glory, 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 God in the highest. Hallelujah. Even in the cold, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to live out my dreams. So thank you for watching. Keep this one short. Make sure you check out Magic Shadow on Twitch. I'm going to go live and I'm going to ask him a bunch of stupid questions and talk in my bored voice because I'm thinking and I'm self-conscious. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, Shaggy out.